Florida Real Estate Vocabulary Flashcards Flashka 69 questions with explained answers. Flashcard 1. Term, broker's price opinion, PO. Definition, a written opinion of the value of real property. Florida real estate licensees are allowed to prepare and charge for BPOs provided the BPO is not called an appraisal. Price opinions are often requested by relocation companies and lenders involved in short sales of distressed properties. Flashcard 2. Term, cancel. Definition, a license ceases to exist, effective as of the date approved by the Commission, and does not involve disciplinary action, / means to become void without disciplinary action. Flashcard 3. Term, customer. Definition, one with whom the broker or sales associate hopes to be successful in accomplishing the purpose of employment. Per Section 475.01, FS, a member of the public who is or may be a buyer or a seller of real property and may or may not be represented by a real estate licensee in an authorized brokerage relationship. Flashcard 4. Term, assessor's parcel number. Definition, a numerical ID assigned to each parcel of land within a tax district used to prepare tax maps. Flashcard 5. Term, complaint. Definition, formal allegation or charge. Flashcard 6. Term, blockbusting. Definition, the illegal practice of inducing homeowners to sell their property by making misrepresentations regarding the entry or prospective entry of minority persons in order to cause a turnover of properties in the neighborhood. Discriminatory acts against sellers. Flashcard 7. Term, culpable negligence. Definition, inadequate attention to duties and obligations by those who know, or should know, what is required of them. Flashcard 8. Term, comparative market analysis, CMA. Definition, an informal estimate of market value performed by a real estate licensee for the seller to assist in arriving at an appropriate listing price, or if working with the buyer, an informal estimate of market value to assist the buyer in arriving at an appropriate offering price. Flashcard 9. Term, contract. Definition, an agreement between two or more competent parties to do, or not do, some legal act for a legal consideration. Flashcard 10. Term, annual percentage rate, APR. Definition, total yearly cost of credit. Flashcard 11. Term, cease to be in force. Definition, a licensee cannot perform real estate services because certain events occur, such as when a broker changes business address. Flashcard 12. Term, bilateral contract. Definition, an agreement wherein both parties are legally obligated to each other to perform. Flashcard 13. Term, business broker. Definition, real estate licensees who engage in the sale, purchase, or lease of businesses. Flashcard 14. Term, basis. Definition, the initial cost of an investor's property. Flashcard 15. Term, buffer zone. Definition, a strip of land separating one land use from another. Flashcard 16. Term, community development district, CDD. Definition, an independent special district created pursuant to Florida law to service the long-term specific needs of its community. A CDD constructs, operates, and maintains community-wide infrastructure and services for the benefit of its residents. CDDs provide an alternative way to fund and construct capital infrastructure to service projected growth. Flashcard 17. Term, blind advertisement. Definition, an advertisement that provides only a telephone number, a post office box, and / or an address without the licensed name of the brokerage firm. Flashcard 18. Term, conflicting demands. Definition, when different parties each make claims regarding disbursement that are inconsistent with one another. Flashcard 19. Term, conversion. Definition, unauthorized use or retention of money or property that rightfully belongs to another person. Flashcard 20. Term, condemnation / eminent domain. Definition, the taking of private real property for a public purpose under the right of eminent domain for a fair price. Flashcard 21. Term, blanket mortgage. Definition, one debt instrument covering two or more parcels. Flashcard 22. Term, at arm's length. Definition, conducting negotiations on one's own behalf without being subject to the other party's control or influence. Flashcard 23. Term, appreciation. Definition, an increase in value. Flashcard 24. Term, active license. Definition, a current, valid license registered with the DBPR, the status required to actively engage in the real estate business. Flashcard 25. Term, cash flow. Definition, the resulting amount when annual debt service, tax liability, and capital improvement costs are subtracted from net operating income. Flashcard 26. Term, actual notice. Definition, information a person has actually learned by reading, seeing, or hearing. Flashcard 27. term, construction lien aka mechanics lien. Definition: a claim based on the principle of unjust enrichment favors parties who have performed labor or delivered materials or supplies for the repair or building of an improvement to real property. Flashcard 28, term, assumption. Definition: the buyer of real property that is already mortgaged assumes liability for the mortgage payments of the original loan that remains on the property. Flashcard 29, term, competent. Definition: a party to a contract who possesses the legal capacity to enter into a binding contract. Flashcard 30, term, assemblage. Definition: the combining of two or more adjoining properties into one tract. Flashcard 31, term, arbitration. Definition: the act of having a third party render a binding decision in a dispute between two parties. Flashcard 32, term, balloon payment. Definition: a single, large payment made at maturity of a partially amortized mortgage to pay off the debt in full. Flashcard 33, term, caveat emptor. Definition: Latin for let the buyer beware. Flashcard 34, term, common elements. Definition: the parts of a multiple ownership property not included in the units, those parts in which each unit owner holds an undivided interest, such as roofs, elevators, and recreational facilities are legally head to condominium units or transferred with the units when they are sold. Flashcard 35, term, assessed value. Definition: worth established for each unit of real property for tax purposes by a county property appraiser. Flashcard 36, term, concealment. Definition: the act of keeping from sight or keeping secret. Flashcard 37, term, closing disclosure. Definition: a form that must be provided to the borrower at least 3 business days before closing. Replace the settlement statement, HUD 1. Flashcard 38, term, agent. Definition: a representative, one who is authorized to act on behalf of another. Flashcard 39, term, building inspection. Definition: a procedure conducted during construction to check that workmanship conforms to building code. Flashcard 40, term, constructive notice. Definition: the recording of a document or an instrument in the public records designed to give adequate notice to all. Flashcard 41, term, acknowledgement. Definition: formal declaration before an authorized official, by the person who executed the instrument, that it is a free act. Flashcard 42, term, community association manager, CAM. Definition: a person who holds a CAM license to manage community associations of more than 10 units and associations with annual budgets in excess of $100,000. Flashcard 43, term, acceleration clause. Definition: stipulation in a mortgage that the entire unpaid balance of the debt may become due and payable if a default of expressed conditions should occur. Flashcard 44, term, buyer's market. Definition: the supply of available properties exceeds the demand. Flashcard 45, term, commingle. Definition: to mix together money or a deposit with personal funds, combine, intermingle. Flashcard 46, term, contract for deed, land contract. Definition: a financing technique wherein the seller agrees to deliver the deed at some future date and the buyer takes possession while paying the agreed amount. Financing method in which the title to the real property remains with the seller until the loan is repaid. Flashcard 47, term, assignment. Definition: written instrument that serves to transfer the rights or interests of one person to another. Flashcard 48, term, appraisal. Definition: a property holder who does not reside on the property and who usually relies on a property manager to supervise the investment. Flashcard 49, term, building permit. Definition: a document issued after the local government has reviewed the architectural and engineering drawings and signed off on the energy calculations. Flashcard 50, term, broker. Definition: an individual or business entity licensed by the DBPR to perform services of real estate for others for compensation. Flashcard 51, term, cost approach. Definition: a method for estimating the market value of a property based on the cost to buy the site and to construct a new building on the site, less depreciation. Flashcard 52, term, chain of title. Definition: a successive listing of all previous holders of title, owners, back to an acceptable starting point. Flashcard 53, term, adjusted basis. Definition: the owner's original cost plus buying expenses and capital improvements. Flashcard 54, term, condominium. Definition: a multi-unit project consisting of individual ownership of a dwelling unit and undivided ownership of common areas. Flashcard 55, term, ad valorem. Definition: according to the value in proportion to worth. Flashcard 56, term, corporation. Definition: an artificial or fictitious person formed to conduct specified types of business activities. Flashcard 57, Term, antitrust laws. Definition, state and federal laws designed to maintain and preserve business competition. Flashcard 58. Term, business opportunity. Definition, the real estate activity dealing in the sale, purchase, or lease of businesses. Flashcard 59. Term, abstract of title. Definition, condensed history of title to real property consisting of a summary of the links in the chain of title extracted from documents bearing on the title status. Flashcard 60. Term, broker associate. Definition, an individual who is qualified to be issued a broker's license but who operates as a sales associate in the employ of another. Flashcard 61. Term, capital gain or loss. Definition, the profit or loss from the sale of an asset, including real property. Flashcard 62. Term, amortized mortgage. Definition, a loan characterized by payment of a debt by regular installment payments. Flashcard 63. Term, conforming loan. Definition, a standardized conventional loan written on uniform documents that meets the purchase requirements of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Flashcard 64. Term, condominium documents. Definition, a set of papers describing the condominium and the association. Flashcard 65. Term, concurrent ownership. Definition, when two or more persons own property at the same time, such as joint tenants, tenants by the entirety, or tenants in common. Flashcard 66. Term, attorney in fact. Definition, one who is authorized to perform certain acts for another under a power of attorney. Flashcard 67. Term, credit. Definition, as a verb, to make an entry on the right or credit side of an account, as a noun, payment or value received. Flashcard 68. Term, boot. Definition, money or other property that is not like kind, which is given to make up any difference in value or equity between exchanged properties. Flashcard 69. Term, Civil Rights Act of 1866. Definition, a federal act that prohibits any type of discrimination based on race in any real estate transaction, sale or rental, without exception.